now we would like to welcome Mel DuPont, and who is running for Rhode Island Senate District 22. Mel is a writing consultant and an activist. She founded the committee to pass the Reproductive Health Care Act and was instrumental in banning conversion therapy in Rhode Island. As a state senator, she vows to fight for single-payer health care and a $15 minimum wage. She will also support renewable energy projects and secure funding to repair our state schools, roads, and bridges. Welcome, Mel.
Good evening, Indivisible Rhode Island. I will use the mic. Thank you so much for having me tonight. And thank you for all the work that you do to resist Trump. I especially appreciate that. Tonight I'm asking you to consider me for your endorsement. So my name is Mel DuPont. I'm a progressive Democrat running for state senate in District 22, so I can make my community and our entire state a better place. My district is all of Smithfield, a little bit of North Providence, and a little bit of Johnston. I'm not sure if we have anybody from those cities here tonight.
Yeah!
All right. Thanks for coming so far. I hope you packed your picnic lunch. It's a long drive back. So you know that much of our district is green and beautiful, and we're doing a lot of things right, and I really think that we can do even more. I want to make our district and my whole state a place where we can all live our lives as we choose because we're safe from abuse and free from anxiety. So my roots go deep into District 22. I grew up in Smithfield, around the corner from the William Windsor Elementary School where I went. I built my life's foundation on the knowledge, skills, and space to practice that was granted to me by Smithfield's awesome K-12 teachers. We got the privilege of being inside warm, safe, dry, and well-maintained schools, and not everybody in Rhode Island gets that privilege. We really have to acknowledge that stuff costs money. And so I do support bonds that fund the maintenance, rehabilitation, and construction of Rhode Island public schools. And as a state senator, I'll be a loud and proud advocate for those public schools. Many folks moved to my district for the schools, just like mine did back in the 70s. For 27 years, my mom was an excellent waitress at the Newport Creamery, Greenville. So if you ate at that creamery, my mom fed you. Her name's Anita, it would be on her name tag. Mom really loved the creamery, but it didn't pay much. Could she have found better paying work elsewhere? Maybe, but she was afraid to take that chance. She kept that job so that we would have medical insurance, and she provided it for our whole family. So how do you leave a low-paying but like sure-thing job when you have 3 children at home and any medical disaster for anyone could wipe out all your savings, which aren't that much to begin with? It's just not fair. And as someone who lived in Vancouver for a year and hung out with Canadians, I get to see what the benefit is of Medicare for all. And the benefit is none of them, 35 million Canadians, not a single one worries that a medical disaster is going to bankrupt their family and wreck their future. And I'd love to have that for Rhode Islanders. That would be the scope of my influence as a state senator. I'd obviously love to see it for the entire United States, but we'll go one state at a time if we have to in this regime. So my dad, Pete, he also worked. After high school, he went into the Navy and served on a supply ship during the Vietnam War, and he learned cabinetry as well while he was there. Back on shore, he became a pattern maker and a model maker, and he worked at Brown & Sharp and then at Hasbro, which was great around the holidays because there was like a 10% employee discount, so we always had Weebles, and he would always come home with like parts of like toys that were painted wrong or had sharp edges, so we get to play with a lot of really neat stuff, very literally cutting edge. But like so many men, he got laid off from these places because owners prioritized shareholder profits over family stability. And that's irresponsible, and it still happens today. Rhode Islanders still face these same challenges that mine did, and that's not right. So how do we pay for health care and save for retirement when we have underpaying and uncertain jobs? For families of color, the challenge is even worse, and that's not right. Rich CEOs make hundreds of times more than their lowest paid workers. Managers lay off parents with no regard for the damage they're doing to family stability or income security. Just to make another buck, it's wrong. For those of you that are retired, I want you to think back to your working days, when every day you would give your all for 8 hours or maybe more, and then at the end of that day, all you wanted to do was go home and relax. Today, many Rhode Islanders come home, change into a different uniform, and go to their second job or their third job. That's not right. No one should have to work a full-time job and still be struggling to make ends meet. As your next state senator, that's why I will fight for Rhode Island to have a $15 minimum wage. And I'll sit down with workers and families, and listen to your stories and your family's needs. I'll work with you to secure just treatment on the job, along with fair compensation that your families can depend on. Now let's switch tracks here and talk about my mom's health. She's in her 70s now, and she gets winded when she walks to the mailbox. Her breathing problems will get worse if a new fracked oil burning power plant gets built 13 miles west of her house. And that's not fair to her. She worked her whole life to retire in Smithfield. And if that plant gets built, what are her choices? Move or die? That's not fair. No retiree should have to make that choice. Because I believe that Burrillville power plant will harm the health of retirees, the health of infants, and everyone in between. I and the residents of Burrillville oppose the construction of that power plant. Not in my backyard and not in anybody's backyard. As your new state senator, I will oppose construction of any fossil fuel burning plant in any part of our state. We have such great zero emission technologies available to us for power generation, like wind and solar, water, even geothermal. We know that's what's best for us, and it's best for the people that we love. It's best for our planet. We're smart, right? We know better, so let's do better. Rhode Islanders have a reputation for being environmentalists, and as senator, I promise to support renewable energy and vote for strong protections for our shared environment. And now I want to talk to you about hate. One of our favorite topics in Indivisible Rhode Island. Behaviors like name-calling, dehumanizing, discriminating, assaulting, separating children from parents. We know that this ugliness is not new, and we know that this hate doesn't begin and end with Trump, but it's fair and it's correct to blame Trump for legitimizing hateful policies, hateful discourse, hateful politics in a very pervasive and horrific way. I believe his goal may be to erode our trust in each other, to divide us, right? To conquer us. But we won't let him. I'm so glad to see everybody here tonight, because I know you feel the same way. I recently had the privilege of speaking with several Indivisible Rhode Island board members about what I've learned about race. As a white, cis, hetero Gen Xer, I know it's crucial to use my power and privilege to speak out against hatred and oppression, and to pass along what I learned to people who will make change. I listen to my friends tell me about being harassed, intimidated, excluded. It isn't right. It's the very definition of injustice. And Trump's mockery of our Mexican friends and our Canadian friends, our Muslim friends, our differently abled friends, basically everyone we love, has emboldened haters to hate openly. So I was going to say like they've never hated before, but we have seen this before. These haters feel entitled to harass and abuse humans who are older, or browner, or gayer, or differently abled, or just different. I have zero tolerance for this kind of hatred, and I'll continue my zero tolerance practice as Senator of District 22. Our big Democratic tent, as they say, is not big enough for racism, or sexism, misogyny, homophobia, transmedia, discrimination, violence, or abuse. We, in this room, right now, have standards of behavior that exceed those of the current President of the United States. And if he is making America great in any way, it's because his election helped us find each other. And now we can do the very powerful work of healing in a thoughtful, intentional, organized manner together. It's my belief that we need to see each other and know each other and protect each other. As a community, we need to keep each other safe from abuse. It's my belief that we must work in the Rhode Island State House to protect all Rhode Islanders from abuse. Abuses like politicians telling women access to critical health care isn't important, when we've been telling them the exact opposite thing for the past 40 years. Abuses like working an underpaid 40 hours a week and still finding yourself staring eviction in the face. Abuses like a kid from South Providence being denied the same opportunities as a kid from Smithfield, just because of what they look like, and where they came from. We've heard some Democrats say that people like us need to leave the party. I'm not leaving. I'm staying. We're staying, right? And finally, we're having those... Finally, we're having the really difficult conversations, right? And we can finally, because of that, do the rest of the work. So as Senator, I promise you that my voice will always be three things: kind, candid, and honest. These change-making conversations we'll have will be tense, and I'm not afraid. As a middle kid with an older sister and a younger brother, I'm a natural-born negotiator and a referee. I've been mediating difficult conversations for as long as I can remember. But we need more than just talk up on Smith Hill. We need to be listening to you. We need to be speaking up for what's right. We need to act on it and vote on it. Because we fight for nothing less than our shared safety, our community health, our financial well-being, our equality, our equity, our humanity, and our right to live in a state and in a country where people live their lives as they choose, because we are all safe from abuse and free from anxiety. If you live in Senate District 22, please vote for me on Wednesday, September 12th. My name is Mel DuPont. I'm a hard worker with a big heart who will get the job done. If you would like to support my campaign, my team and I would be honored to work side by side with you. Visit melforri.com to sign up, and please feel free to talk with me tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I want to answer Rachel's question. Okay. 100% in favor of passing the Reproductive Health Care Act. I would like to answer your question. I missed your name, I'm sorry.
Pat.
Pat. So you had asked about top 3 issues, and I would say that my top million issues are, I feel like ever since I started thinking about what my life's mission might be, the best answer I've been able to come up with, and I've stuck to for decades, is decreasing human suffering. And so all my policies are going to be built on finding out where the hurt is and figuring out how I can help fix it. And really that involves a lot of deep listening, real connections, real conversations, repeated conversations, not just, one-off contact, and getting to know people on a really individual level, and then seeing, is this something I can help them with legislation, or is this another solution that needs to come from a different direction? But by all means, responding to everyone, dialoguing with everyone, listening to everyone, working with people to find solutions. I hope that answers your question. Yes?
Can I ask how old you are?
I will be 45 in August.
I think this is the beginning of a really fantastic journey for you, because you are probably one of the best political speakers I've heard in a very long time.
Thank you so much.
And your energy and your enthusiasm is so genuine. So I think you're going to have no problem getting to where you're going in your Senate district, but I think Rhode Island is in for a big surprise.
Thank you so much. Yes?
What do you think of Dan's explanation that the $15 wage would actually be detrimental to the economy and would drive businesses away?
I think that we have to be very conscious of the small businesses as we roll out a $15 minimum wage, and we need to do it in a stepped manner so that it's not a shock to them. I've heard a proposal that we start with companies that have 50 employees or more and hold them to that standard first before turning to small businesses. I think that's an interesting idea. I really want to sit down with the people that have hashed out the math on this and figure out how we can protect small businesses from straight up closure, while still making sure that people can actually pay to live and eat and, stay in Smithfield or stay in North Providence, stay in Johnson, stay where they want to stay for as long as they want to be there. So we just have to be very mindful and conscious of how we do it, but we know that the minimum wage has to come up, and 15 is a very good start. Yes?
What are your thoughts about development of large solar farms, and do you think the state government should play any role in figuring out how and when that should be done?
I know that we have a lot of grassy open land, mostly on hills in Rhode Island, and I've seen a lot of sun hit those fields as I've driven by. So I feel like rather than knocking down a bunch of forest, we could use a lot of unused farmland and meadow, things that aren't not even turf farms, you know, just stuff that's sitting there fallow would be a really good candidate for solar farms. As to getting the government involved, I want to see more subsidies. I want to see subsidies that actually make it possible for people to get the ball rolling, because we know there's such huge upfront costs to adding a massive infrastructure. It's a massive risk for whoever installs it. But if we can incentivize it, if we can subsidize it, if we can give low interest loans, there's so many ways that we can help make it happen. But I think that because solar is a zero emission technology that produces so much electricity, we really have to get moving towards it. And not to piss off anybody that has investments in oil, but I think about the Polaroid company, and I think about how they were so late to catch on to digital that they effectively went out of business, because they were like, we are the film developing experts, the film manufacturing experts, could not get off of that. And I feel like the entire oil industry is Polaroid, that they're dragging their heels, moving off into specializing in solar and wind, especially. They have the money. They can hire the brains, the engineers. They can make it all very cost effective and built to scale, automated on assembly lines. They can start now. And I feel like they don't want to, but if they don't, they risk going away Polaroid.
I'm intrigued by your little child comment, and I'm wondering if you thought of how you might deploy your middle child skills if you're elected in the Rhode Island legislature, which even as a newbie to Rhode Island, I understand has a dysfunctional structure because of the way bills are and certainly are not produced. So we can introduce bills up the wazoo in committee, but if they don't get out of committee, it doesn't matter. Do you have any thoughts about how to reform that structural logjam that prevents so many wonderful bills from ever getting voted on?
Yeah, I think about that every day, and obviously as a person looking at it from the outside in, I have a lot of theories on why that's going on, and I really look forward to testing those theories once I get the job. But I feel like a large part of it is going to be those middle kid skills, where I find two people that don't agree, and I can sit down with them and mediate the discussion and say, okay, I know you don't hate each other, right? But you have information that this person doesn't have, and you have information that this person doesn't have, and maybe if we can figure out what that information is, and you exchange it, right, openly, we can get to an agreement. Because I think so many times you have people that are mad at each other, but it's because one side knows something that the other side doesn't know. And as soon as they know it, then they're like, oh, okay, that's why. All right, now that I know that, we can move forward, right? Maybe this is a fantasy, but I think that's what we got to start with, is really the basics, the nuts and bolts of negotiation and mediation. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a charming answer that I love, but I fear it may be naive. I'm guessing
It might be.
that, and again, I'm new to Rhode Island, but I'm guessing that that there are good reasons for this structure, that it's not just about lack of knowledge, but entrenched interests. And so I'm wondering how you get past those intentions.
I am wondering that too. It's going to be a huge part of my work, is finding out how we move forward even despite conflicts of interest. It's going to be a challenge.
One last question.
One last question?
You get to choose who.
It's just a comment related to what you asked, is that I think if we can elect more people like you, it'll change the power structure in the building. And so that it won't be such an issue about do things get out of committee and who's got the power and who doesn't. But it means changing the people in the building.
I am gambling everything that you're right. Thank you so much for that.